Hello everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you day 15. Oh my gosh, we're halfway through day 15 of the Artist Trading Card a Day in June 2020. This is brought to you by Art Joy of Sharing live stream channel as well as Art Joy of Sharing Facebook art community. You can join that community by using the link below. Make sure that you answer the questions. We won't accept you otherwise. So, to start out this ATC, I have some 140 pound or 300 GSM watercolor paper that's been torn into 2.5 by 3.5 inches. And I have these Ken Oliver, what are they called? They're pigment powders. What are they called? Color Burst? I think they're called Color Burst. Ken Oliver Color Burst. And they're just really strong pigments in a powdered form. And I've misted my watercolor paper so that it's a little bit wet, and I'm sprinkling on some green, and the one at the top is called sepia, which is usually some type of a brown, but it looks more orange to me. And then on the bottom I have some yellow ochre. So I think this is Viridian in the middle, and then sepia and yellow ochre. And of course, the watercolor paper is bowing because I've spritzed it. It's in a hump at this point, and it wants to run to the sides. So I'm just kind of blending with one of my watercolor brushes and then blotting the sides. I don't know if I've blotted yet, but it gets really dark on the sides. Maybe I didn't blot this one. I don't know. I was doing several watercolory ones at the same time. So then this is pixie dust, and a friend of mine in the UK sent this to me. It's the same type of stuff. It's a pigment, but it's shimmery. It's got mica in it, and I'm not sure who makes it. I think it might be Spectrum Noir maybe makes it. But anyway, they were sent to me in little Ziploc pouches. I mean, these powdered things last, they give you way more than you could ever possibly need. I mean, I would have to do an awful lot of really big art to use up this stuff. I'm going to have it forever. I'm going to pass it on to my children. I mean, it's crazy. But the one that I picked is copper. I like copper. And I sprinkled it some over it with a little spoon scoop thing. And I'm kind of just moving it around where it's clumped and just letting it blend into those other pigments. It's really pretty. Really, really pretty. Especially with the green, although a lot of it gets lost, but you will see it in the end piece. But that's what it looks like when I put it away. I let it dry. And then a different day, which is day 15, I get it back out, and I'm going to draw over the top of it. This part might be a little bit boring because you can't really see what I'm doing very well. I might just speed it up for you. The pen I'm using is a micron pigma pen. It's got pigment ink in it. It's a very, very small point, and I keep getting little bits of stuff in it, so I have to keep writing it off on my underpaper. I know this is very zoomed in, and I'm not staying on screen very well because I keep moving my camera when I zoom it. I don't know. It doesn't, you'd think that in the center of a square is where it would zoom, right? So you have the whole square, then you have a little bit less, and a little bit less, and a little bit less till you get this very zoomed in piece. But that's not how it works, actually. So I need to tilt my camera in different ways when I zoom. I don't know why that is. It's just weird. But I'm not staying on the screen very well. I will later because I figure it out and I move my camera. But, art every day, it's a lot, especially making a video, really two videos because I make an Instagram video too. Of each one of these is a lot of work, and so if I don't get everything just right, just bear with me because it's I'm having fun making the cards. I don't have so much fun editing the videos. It's just I wished I had someone else to do that for me. But then it wouldn't come out exactly the way I wanted because I'm one of those people that has to have everything exactly how I want it. So I tend to just do it myself. But anyway, what I'm drawing is a dragonfly, and he's got his wings spread out, and he's got a segmented body, and then all the little segments in his wings. By the painting at the end, I'm going to try to make it look pretty darn translucent. It will be it will be fake translucency. It's not really translucent, but I'm going to try to add highlights and things. But right now I'm just making the base drawing, and it's not perfect. His wings are a little bit wonky. Would be better if that one on the left wasn't down so far, or else the one on the right was down further. But that's life. That's what happens when you draw. And I'm drawing in ink, so I can't erase it or change it. Once it's drawn, it's drawn. That's the way it is. So there's my drawing, done in very fine pen. My next step is I've got out these eco-friendly iridescent paints. I will link those. I'll link the website for those in the box below. It's a company. I can't remember the name of the company right now, and I can't read it on there. It's too small. But it's a company that makes paints and finishes and mediums with lower VOCs or no VOCs, which is the stinky, gassy, poisonous stuff that releases into the air when you're using paint. And that's a good idea. That's a cool idea. Do I love these paints? The consistency. There was another paint that came out and everybody was so into it. Pearl something. It was the same type of idea. It's very similar to this paint. This paint feels the same as that paint. They came in little tiny pots. Man, I cannot remember what they were called, but they were kind of thick, and they were iridescent or pearl paints. And I'm sure you guys have some. Everyone had them. They were a hot commodity, and these are very similar to those. Just can't remember what it is. I'm sorry. I can't remember, but you'll know what I'm talking about if you've used them. If you have them, if you love them, these paints are probably exactly the same as those, and they don't have VOCs, so that's nice. They come in a lot of colors. I just have these 3 colors. These were actually sent to me to use and talk about. So yeah, they're pretty cool. I also have some white gesso because I was going to try to do my highlights with the gold iridescent paint that I have there on the right. It was too translucent. You couldn't even see it. And so I'm using a water brush and some golden white gesso, and I'm just kind of painting some highlights onto the wings in the little cells where each wing separates, the little segments, and then going over the top of it with the gold makes it very shimmery and pretty. Then I'm going to open up the purple one, which is kind of a dark purple, pearly paint, pearly iridescent paint. And I'm going to kind of paint out the background, although all the highlight and shadow of the background is probably pretty much going to stay. But I want the drawn image of the dragonfly to have dark around the edges so that it stands out from the background, because right now it's just kind of getting lost. Adding the highlights made a big difference, but this makes a big difference too, to darken up the area around it. And the whole card will end up being very shimmery, as you'll see at the end. I even made a little boomerang of it to show you how it shimmers in the light. It's pretty. Has a lot of layers of color and shimmer on it. Party. So I'm just using a regular brush for this, and then kind of when I go to blend it out, I'm dipping it in water, which is to the left of me, just to let the water on the brush, just a tiny bit of water on the brush, blend it out to a thinner consistency so that it can be more blended looking. And then I'm going to use the pink as well, so I'm going to use the pink on the rest of the edges. So I want to make sure everything blends out. Now the Ken Oliver pigments and the pixie dust are water soluble. Even at this point, they are water soluble. So I'm getting some blending of the green and the other colors. Even the copper is blending in a little bit into these paints as I go over them with a little bit of wet media. It's not bothering me, but I do notice it. Even when I was using the white gesso to do the highlights, I was getting a little bit of that green mixed in with it. It was a happy accident to do that. So it made me happy the way it turned out. So now I've got the pink out and I'm blending the pink into the purple. So it's kind of like dark to light fading, which is nice. I completely covered up the yellow, but I didn't think the yellow looked right on there. It was too distracting. So I was fine with that. Then I just go ahead and add a little bit of that pink shimmer into the wings as well to kind of blend everything together. And I think it looks pretty cool. This is a cool card. I like it. I likes it. So just a little dots of it, not filling in any of the cells in the wings completely. I was trying to give it a little bit of texture by dragging the end of my brush into it, but it didn't really work, so it didn't scrape it away enough to give texture. So then I got the gold back out and went over the top of the wings again. Just one more layer. So in some areas I've got copper, in some areas I've got gold, in some it's pink, some it's purple, some it's green. It's just a lot of different interesting pearly stuff on there. So now that I've got the paint on there, I'm deciding that the little tiny pen that I used to make the lines, the little pigma pen, not dramatic enough. So I decided to add in kind of like some fatter and also some sketchy, quickly drawn lines around different things to make the black a little bit more black. I'm using a fine tip Posca pen, which is an acrylic paint pen, and it's helping things stand out a little bit more, shapes and pattern. But I'm not being super exact. I'm not being super careful. When I drew the dragonfly, I was being super careful, and I was, trying to really replicate what a dragonfly looks like. Now I'm just kind of making it sketchy and more interesting, maybe a little bit. I hope you guys are enjoying having, well, pretty much an ATC video every single day. That was not my intention at the beginning of the challenge. I thought I was going to do 2s and 3s in, groups so that there'd be like a video every other day, but this has actually been working out for me to just make the video each day, and they're a little bit slower, so you get a little bit more education out of them because they're not moving as fast. And then I'm also putting in the iCards. I find this interesting. I put in the iCards the videos from previous years. We've been doing this challenge in Art Drive Sharing since 2017. And so I have a lot of videos of ATCs, and I look for the different years. I look for the same days, and then I put those in the iCards so that you can go back and see what I did in other times for these ATCs. But if you are liking them, please remember to give them a thumbs up and leave me a comment or question below. Subscribe if you haven't already and turn on your notification bells. And of course, you can pin this on Pinterest or Facebook or any other place that you want to share it. If you are sharing your own cards, make sure to include the hashtag ATCAD2020. You can do that on any social media. It doesn't matter if it's Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, whatever. We can find you if you use that hashtag. So some people are only posting on Insta, or you can come and post them in the group, all that. So here I've decided I wanted to add some pattern to the background because it's just kind of, that top and bottom corner are just kind of bleh. So I got out a little 4x4 stencil. This is from a club, stencil club at some point. You get a 9x12, a 6x6, and a 4x4. So I know all my 4x4s pretty much are from club. So it has to have been. It has these interesting little scallops, I guess they are. So I'm using a catalyst tool, which is like a spatula, a silicone spatula, and applying the gold paint through that, and it makes it a little bit thicker, kind of like you would with a molding paste or something. It makes it thicker, and then it'll stand out more and won't be as translucent, and you'll be able to see a subtle pattern in the background when I'm done, when it's dry. Right now it's not subtle because it's wet, but when it dries, it kind of, fades into the background, but yet there's still a pattern, which I think is interesting. So I did it on the corners, on both sides of the corners, and then I gave it a good dry with the heat tool to get it, done so that I could move on to the editing and photographing and all that other process that goes on doing these. So this one is pretty much done. Like I said, there's going to be close-ups and a boomerang coming up soon so that you can see the shimmeriness. And I will be here again tomorrow, I think, for the next day's card. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.